Even men at the top of their game find themselves wanting more from life. Whether it's more meaning, unshakable confidence, a bigger impact, more money, deeper love, a hotter sex life, or a powerful legacy. Find out how good your life can be on this episode of Man Alive. Also, as I've supported men in their love and work lives for 15 years now, many men ask for the right words to say to be more successful, attractive, and desirable. But I found it's not so simple as giving scripts or lines because every man is different. So giving words or scripts would be like giving a tall, thin man a shorter, wider man's pants, or vice versa. The words have to make sense for you and your personality, and there's so much happening beneath the surface that people are responding to. If you're interested in how to become a better lover and leader in your own unique way, go to shanajamescoaching.com/quiz, or you can text ALIVE to 44144. It only takes a couple minutes and you'll start to get an idea of how you can be both more respected and desired. After you fill it out, we can schedule a time to review your quiz and talk about your specific challenges and desires. So again, go to either shanajamescoaching.com/quiz or text ALIVE to 44144. That's ALIVE to 44144. Enjoy this episode of Man Alive. Hello, and welcome to this episode of Man Alive. I'm excited to be here today with Rylee Meek. Rylee, welcome.
Hey, Shana, happy to be here.
Thank you. I am excited to talk about selling and business. And, you have built multiple seven-figure businesses. So you've got a lot of experience in this realm. And I want to see if we can make it, I don't know if palatable is the right word, though you do have a dinner selling system. So maybe we can go on that theme. Palatable for men who are entrepreneurs and men who are thinking about entrepreneurs, or even men who are just in the world of, business. We're all in the world of business in some way. And so I imagine there are many lessons you have learned that you can relay to us. So maybe just dive in a little bit with what's been a part of your journey that's gotten you to where you are that feels like, one of the most important things to you.
Oh man, I feel like I could go a million different directions in this question, but that's probably why you asked it. So the biggest thing for me, so I'm 35 years old, and my kind of entrepreneurship journey started early on. I came from a divorced family. My folks got divorced when I was 5. Right. And I really feel like that was kind of my initial start into marketing.
I remember reading that, right? That you, in going back and forth, you were kind of like selling them to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When I was with my mom, it's like I would sneak away and call my dad and tell him that I missed him because I didn't want him to feel like I loved my mom more than him. Aww. Right? I mean, when I think about it, it was like a terrible feeling, but when you're in the moment, as a lot of us just are going through life, and it's just like we're just rolling with the punches, right? It's like we just are letting life happen to us versus being intentional with our actions and things. So, at the age of 5, as I mentioned, that was kind of my first start of marketing or even sales. And my first job I took at the age of 15, it was for my first actual employee type of position, hourly wage. It was $5.15 an hour. That was minimum wage at the time. And so I worked 1 8-hour shift and then I quit. And I was like, there's no way I'm doing that again.
This is not happening.
Exactly. So that really stirred my passion for, I realized, what am I going to do? Like if an employee lifestyle isn't for me, what does it really look like? And
you actually had the wherewithal at that age to be like, all right, what am I going to do here?
I don't know if it was that clear to me, but I knew, having a divorced family, I saw my stepfather who owned his own business. He made great money. And then I saw my dad who worked his tail off. Every single day he was up by 6 a.m. and worked long hours, but I don't know if he ever made more than 40 grand a year in his
right? It's kind of like the rich dad, poor dad.
Kind of. Yeah. So I had that ingrained into me kind of at a young age, but it was definitely, I grew up in South Dakota and there's not a whole lot going on there.
No.
So one of the things that I realized I had to do, I looked around in my kind of inner circle and I realized, if anybody listening, if you're looking around and you're the top dog in your circle, it's time to level up.
Yeah.
And it's important to be able to have that wherewithal, but also to actually take action on that and do whatever it took. And for me, I was driving up to Minneapolis at the age of 15. And it's a 5-hour drive from my hometown. But once a month, I would drive up and I would attend these, success trainings essentially. But
Wow.
the real point of it was, I put myself out there. I surrounded myself with people that had what I wanted.
Yeah.
And, if you look around and you're looking for the fruit in people's life, it's like, I knew even at a young age, I didn't want to be, the majority of my classmates still live in my own hometown.
Yeah.
Right. It's like 1,000 people there. And I knew that's not what I wanted for myself, but I had to be intentional, like just sitting back and letting life come at you. You're not going to go anywhere. And then I'm a
you had
firm
to be
believer.
Intentional. You had to take action, and it takes a lot of courage to put yourself in a room with kind of that, the bigger dogs or whatever you want to call it, right? That you're not the top dog, because there's a sense of that, like you can feel your own power, or you can, right? You can have a sense of I'm good enough. And so I think for a lot of people, and men in particular, it can be like, whoa, I don't want to put myself in a room of bigger dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, a lot of that, I think, just comes from self-limiting beliefs that we are the product of, a lot of times, really how we grew up, who we've surrounded ourselves with. And to have that understanding, if we grew up thinking that, making money is bad, or, money is the root of all evil, you hear that a lot. And, if you have that concept, or men are pigs, or, women are gold diggers, or, whatever it is, that's a deep down ingrained belief that you have, whether it was unsolicited or not, right? It's there within you. And so to have that realization, and to be able to actively, not just understand that maybe that is a limiting belief, but to be able to put things in practice to be able to overcome those is a very important thing. And I think when I talk about entrepreneurship, the root word entrepreneur, it doesn't mean to be a business owner. It doesn't mean to run be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company or anything like that. The root word of it literally means to undertake.
Wow.
And if we can all have that approach, we are all entrepreneurs. We are all, in our coaching programs, we host these events called Becoming the CEO of Your Own Life. And this is really the concept, is to be able to own your own life, treat your life as a business, right? Some people are businessmen, and then some people are a businessman, right? Yeah. Like, there's a difference there, but if you can run your life intentionally and treat it like a business, and to be able to operate in excellence in multiple areas of your life, whether it's your mental health, your physical health, your financial, spiritual, emotional, all of those need to be attended to. And that's what we really teach within our coaching and consulting programs is to be able to be the entrepreneur, be that CEO of your own life.
That's so powerful, right? And really, I've been working with the concept of limiting beliefs for decades, but even just in the past year, I'm seeing more and more. It's like, oh, right. All the stories that we tell ourselves, they seem so real. And then once we can recognize they're not real, there's still that kind of like roto-rooter needing to do, how do you help people take action from that place of, I have a limiting belief, to, okay, I'm going to get in action around letting that go and believe something else or trying something else?
Yeah. So I think number one is it's the realization of it, and understand that my role as a coach or consultant, it's like everybody has a different perception. Your perception of life, of any different topic, it may not be my reality, but it's your reality. And my job is to be able to speak to that reality. And whether you're in sales within the social dynamic selling system, that's our sales consulting. You mentioned the dinner seminar approach. That's where we teach people that, especially when you're working with a group of people. It's important to be able to understand that, listen, just because you think you're right doesn't mean you're right. Right? If I'm looking to persuade somebody or influence somebody, I need to make sure that I meet them where they're at, understand what their perception is, because their perception is their reality. Yes. And it's simply our job to be able to speak to it, and then, walk them down a path to, help them have a realization that self-limiting belief, if that's what we're looking to overcome, isn't necessarily true. It may be true because it seems so true. Anxiety, that's real. It seems so true, but it's only about their perception of that specific topic, not actual reality.
I'm just laughing a little bit because I'm seeing, right, the overlap of the work that I do with men around relationships and love and sex, and right, all of those places where there are limiting beliefs, or even what you said about meeting someone where they are, right? If you're in whether it's romantic or a business relationship, we're all kind of selling, like you said, or we're,
You bet.
inspiring and inviting people into things. And if we're not actually aware of where the person in front of us is, we lose them.
Absolutely. If there's anything that's helped me in any component of my life, certainly in sales, big time in my relationship with my wife and all of my friends and family, it's the art of communicating effectively, right? Everybody communicates, but very few people connect.
Yes.
And I think the most important thing is to be able to, whether I'm trying to sell somebody something, and by the way, sales, the root word here, I'm going to go back to another root word, root word of sales, it's a Norwegian root word, and it's selje. And Selje. Selje means to serve.
Oh, I love that.
And so if you get back to the root of it, again, this is everybody's perception of sales is usually a different 4-letter word, right? They're like the slimy, icky, gross salesman. And that's, it's gone through a season, but sales of the old, like the 80s, the 90s, the car salesman, slick guy, buy now type of thing, that doesn't work at all.
It doesn't work anymore.
Doesn't work.
And again, right? It doesn't work in our romantic relationships. It doesn't work in our business relationships. It doesn't work anywhere anymore. People are really on to that and want that, authentic, sincere relationship.
You got it. You hit it on the head. And it is that authenticity of just being able to communicate effectively. But that is so important to be able to, when I mentioned earlier, maybe you had mentioned too, it's like to meet somebody where they're at. Yeah. It's so important. When my wife comes home, my wife's a nurse anesthetist.
Wow.
So she has some stressful days where it could be, and she works with kids at children's hospitals. So it could be some serious, like some negative situations that she's in. And when she comes home, it's not like she can just leave that there. Like emotionally, she can bring some of that stuff home. Yeah. And, I could have a same stressful day as well, but my perception, her perception, and as my role as the loving husband that I want to be, I desire to be, I'm training to continually be, is I need to meet her where she's at. Yeah. And if I just scoff that, I've had a stressful day too, that obviously we're combating each other. There's not going to be any sort of communication there. The only connection might be her hand to my face. Right. Right.
Exactly. And I love, there's so many things you just said. One of the things that I just picked up on what you said was like the loving husband I'm still training to be. Mm-hmm. And I think that takes a lot of letting go of ego to actually say, to frame it that way or to hold it that way. Like, I don't have to know everything. I'm constantly training, it sounds like you're saying.
Yes. And I think so much today, just in society, we've all just become, not all, but so many people just like to be victims. Yeah. And the word try, I think, is used far too much. We're always trying. We're trying to be a better husband. I'm just trying to get by. I'm just, trying to go make more money. Oh my gosh. And trying is such a weak freaking word. It's
so interesting. I hear my kids say that a lot. Like, I'm like, hey, the attitude that you're giving me, like, I'm trying. And I'm like, somehow I hear that and I just want to, I would never hurt him, but I'm just like, ugh, of course. That feels awful. Like, yeah, you're telling me you're trying. And yet at the same time, I can see you could actually do better.
Absolutely. And it really starts with the words that we speak. Intentionally, I had to change my vocabulary into training. Yes. Like, I'm no longer trying to be a better husband. I'm not trying to be a better father. Yes, I'm training. I'm continually in training because we don't try to work out. Like somebody who's going to run an Olympic race, he's not going to try to run a marathon. No, you are in training. Yeah. You're continually in training. Yeah. And you're never going to, till the day we die, we should continually be in training to be better versions of ourselves every single day. I'm a firm believer we are either progressing or we are regressing. There's no such thing as just sitting still. You're either growing or you're dying. And my goal every single day, and my wife is on board and we have a 9-year-old daughter. It's like we change the language in our home to be able to speak that truth, that we're no longer trying, we're not victims. Yes. Everything that comes at us, we get to make a decision on how to respond to that. Are we going to progress or are we going to regress here? We're not going to be victims of the circumstances, but we are going to be the ones that actually set the stage and act in a matter of training continually versus always trying.
Powerful. So powerful. So when men come to you or people come to you to be, to learn your system, the social dynamic selling system, is there a way that you help them take that victim mentality out and shift from trying to training?
Yeah, there is now. I'll kind of tell you, how this really evolved, because you had mentioned, so over the last decade, I've taken 8 different companies now. Every single one of them has hit 7. A couple of them, we've had them hit 8 figures within the first year of each one. Wow. So we've done over 9 figures, 125 million in sales over the last 9.5 years. And the beautiful thing is, I don't say that to boast at all about me, because it has zero to do with me. I could leave the planet right now and all of that is still going to run. And the reason is because of the systems that we've put in place.
Implemented, yes.
Yeah. Yes, it's so important to have those systems in place, a sales and marketing system. And I started my own companies initially and kind of fumbled through this and realized this is a great system. Cool. Now, I wasn't really passionate about any of it. Like from the outside looking in financially, it's like, yeah, things look pretty good, but I still had zero passion for anything that I was doing.
Interesting.
My passion was providing for my family, which was great. Yeah. I kind of succeeded, from the world's view of like what that looks like.
Right. From the world's view, but not from your personal experience.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I was still like, I had this overwhelming, just this burning desire for more. Yeah. And I thought, man, could I teach people how to do this? Because, I always loved working with people and like, let's help develop people be the best versions of themselves. Yeah. And I started to do that and worked really well. We helped multiple people become millionaires utilizing this system, but still, I quickly realized money is not everything unless you don't have enough of it.
Right.
And when you don't have enough of it, it quickly becomes your everything. And my belief is that that's constantly why it's always fleeting. Yeah. It's constantly, people are just continually chasing to get more and more and more money, and why it's always fleeting. And once you've got enough of it and you have that realization, like money's not everything. It's a great magnifying glass of showing who you actually are as a human being.
Yeah.
And for me, when I started to make a decent amount of coin 8-9 years ago, I realized I was not that good of a dude.
Wow.
And it was...
What did you see? Like, what has you say that?
So Ellie is my 9-year-old. She's with my previous wife.
Yeah.
Her name was Sarah. And during this time period, multiple... I'm skipping over a ton of like business ventures and failures, successes, failures, things like that. But when I first started social dynamic selling, it was at a time where Sarah was pregnant with Ellie. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden I'm just like gung ho, and especially for men listening to this, still to this day, my like desire, my drug, right? Every one of us drug, if you're a type A dude, it's like the thrill of the hunt, right? It's that dopamine release that we get, not even when we achieve it, but during the strain, the training.
Yes, during the training.
Exactly. Yep. And heck, that's why I didn't just take one company. It's like I took 8 companies now to 7-8 figures. And I realized the day that I had said I checked out. It was like, boom, done. Dopamine release, done. Now what? And I moved on to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, next thing. I realized, and thank God, Sarah and I and my wife now, Ashley, and Sarah, my ex, they like go get their nails done together. It's like great. The most amazing thing because we've had reconciliation and forgiveness there. But it started with me realizing that, dude, I was a terrible husband, terrible. I didn't provide anything that she needed, to the extent where it was like, I would come home from a long day of work, and you're like exhausted. And she's just like waiting at the door, wanting to hear about my day. And I'm like, I've already lived it once. Why do I have to live it again? Like a total dick. Like, can I say that on this?
Yeah, you can totally say that. Yeah.
But that's what I was. And it's easy for me to look back on that now, but everything, hindsight's always 20/20, right? But it's what we learn from those experiences. Yes. And just through that process, I realized that, just because if you're a butthead right now and you don't have any money, you make a bunch of money, you're just going to be a big butthead. That's the truth of it, right? And so through that realization from consulting, it's really, I realized I was creating big buttheads. Yeah, I could help people make a lot of money, but they were not being the best versions of themselves. Yeah. And then that's when I transitioned more to coaching. We still help people with sales and marketing.
In addition to the sales and marketing.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Because I don't want to create a bunch of big butt heads. I want to create people that can make money. I believe if you have the gifting to make money, you should make as much as you freaking can and have no concerns or qualms about it, because just because you're making more money does not mean you're taking it away from somebody else. Yep. Like there is a plenty to go around, but what you do with that money, I think is most important. Yeah. Right. So I want to be able to coach people and teach people how to leave, not just be able to leave a legacy, but to live that legacy.
To live the legacy.
Right here, right now.
While they're here. Exactly.
Got it.
I love it. Thank you for your humility, and for being able to say like, okay, I was a butthead or I was a dick or whatever, and that you can actually change, that
Yeah.
you've learned and that you have given yourself permission to not have to know it all and not have to get it right and to continue learning all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really the season that I believe that I'm in now. And it's like the most rewarding season as well. Again, we can go start another company and make a ton of dough or anything like that, but it's more about that legacy type season that we had mentioned here.
What would you say your legacy is? Like if you were to kind of sum it up?
We do these live events called Becoming the CEO of Your Own Life. We do, online challenges and things like that, but we're hosting live events every single month. And it really is just seeing the transformation in people's lives that are, maybe in the middle of a divorce or their business is struggling, right? Or, their relationships with their kiddos is, not where it should be. And being able to, serve those people, I think is the most rewarding thing that I've ever done. It's not like that. I'm not like a trained psychologist or therapist or anything like that, but I know what it's like to be in those situations. And I think to be able to have that vulnerability, you mentioned humility, and just know that we're not walking this path alone.
Yeah.
And as bros, as dudes that are listening to this, you got to know that like we are made for brotherhood. I mean, some of the greatest times in my life was when I first started in college and I got around just a group of dudes that I don't even talk to them to this day, but I guarantee you, if I called them and said, I got to bury a body,
right, they would
every
have your
single
back.
one of them would say, are you driving or am I?
Yeah.
Right. And there would be no questions. But that's that brotherly love that so many guys think they can run this race alone or they can do it alone. And I'm here to tell you, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, you need to surround yourself with a group of bros, like-minded bros. Yes. And I say mind-setted, not like-minded, right? If you're around only people that think just like you, you're not doing yourself any favors. Yeah. But if you're on the same mission of becoming better versions of yourself, you could have an engineer and an evangelist in the room, right? Like a sales guy, whoever. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you all have the same mindset of what your vision is. Get so clear on your vision of what that is. You're running in the same direction. And so mindsetted people, not minded people, it's so key just for that brotherly love to be able to have each other to rely on, because there's certain things that you just might not feel comfortable talking with your spouse about.
Yes.
Right? Like men, right. I mean, you got to talk like, hey, dude, I'm struggling with
and
porn.
Deeper than like
struggling with, whatever it is.
Deeper than the like, let's shoot the shit. It's like, here's what's really going on. I mean, I think, it's a lot of men come to me in some ways because, right, I get to stand in as a woman's perspective and as someone who they can actually say things with and feel safe. And I think there's a place for that. And there's also for sure a place with, okay, I've got to have men around me who, I don't have to feel alone with. I can actually say what's going on and not be afraid that they're going to judge me as weak or a coward or anything like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And if you do have guys in your life like that, just note that and don't share stuff with them.
Yeah.
Right. And it's time to level up. There's bucket dippers and there's bucket fillers in all of our life. And if you are the one that's constantly filling people's buckets, you got to go figure out where you can go dip some into somebody else's. And that's what I meant by like leveling up. If you're the top dog in your circle, it's not that you have to like get rid of that circle, but you need to go replenish your bucket somewhere else.
Yes. I love that. Okay. I'm wondering what you want to tell us about the social dynamic selling system or the dinner seminar marketing that, again, it doesn't have to be someone who's an entrepreneur, but like what really excites you about that process?
Yeah. So early on, what I loved about this process was, I've always been in sales, and I believe everybody is in sales, whether
we're in sales, whether we know it or not.
You are. Yep. But really the ability to leverage your time, because everything that I had done before learning this process was selling one-on-one. And I could do a presentation. It could take 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours sometimes, depending upon what it was I was trying to sell or convince somebody to buy. And this process is definitely, so at dinner seminars, the concept is we identify who your true client avatar is. Like first off, what product or service do you sell? And what do you really sell? Like if you're selling solar, you're not selling solar panels. You are selling a peace of mind for the homeowner to not have a utility bill.
Right.
Right. You're selling them. If it's a farmer who wants solar panels, like he is buying it because he is going to be able to leave a property to his home that is self-sufficient. So he doesn't have to worry about his kids or his grandkids ever having to pay a utility bill.
Yeah.
Like get to the benefits of the benefits of the benefits of what
right,
it is
the deepest.
you really sell. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's not the widget. It's actually
exactly
like
right.
how it serves somebody's life and what gets to happen in their life as a result of it.
Exactly. Find that emotional attachment to it. And once we know that, we know who buys that. We identify where they shop, right? Or where they located. Yeah. And we craft a message, and it could be a direct mail piece. It could be an online ad, whatever it is. And we're inviting them out to a free steak dinner, chicken dinner, vegetarian option, whatever it is, to come learn about that specific topic. Yes. So we're filling an event. Usually in a campaign like this, there's 1 or 2 date times that they could pick with. They're coming out there to learn about you. We feed them a dinner. They listen to your presentation. We take people on an emotional journey. We teach people this process on how to speak their language, especially to a group of people versus one-on-one. Mm-hmm. We create sense of urgency. And then we simply ask for a one-on-one appointment to present price or, essentially close the deal, we'll call it. So it leverages time, money, energy, effort into 1 or 2 presentations a week
instead
versus
of having to do
multiple
one by one.
You got it.
Beautiful.
You got it. So that's social dynamic selling. It works extremely well with higher ticket items. Yeah. And what I mean by that is, if you only sell a $48 widget and there's no additional lifetime value to your customer, no ascension model that you can extract any more money out of it. Yeah. This isn't the system.
It's not the system. Yeah.
No, because it takes money to put these on, to market, to buy a steak dinner. But I'd mentioned solar, financial advisors, they've been doing this for years.
Yes.
Right. Like it's not like I've invented this concept, but we've perfected this in so many different verticals, from home remodeling to cosmetic, dental, the regenerative medicine space, investment clubs, real estate, aging in play, all sorts of different industries that we're in. But it works extremely well, again, if you've got a higher ticket that has the margins or profitability to be able to keep this as a sustainable model. Our tagline is a predictable, a sustainable, and then ultimately a scalable selling system.
I love it. Beautiful. What would you say, what's the biggest hump that people have to get over in order to recognize that this could work for them?
This sounds cheesy, but it really is that the fact that it's too good to be true. And it's funny because we host what we call strategy days, or workshops, where we bring people in and we, identify what are they doing now? And then we craft the message, the campaign, everything. And we lay this out over, a month, 2 month, 3 month time period on what it's going to take investment wise and in the return on it. Yeah. And half the time it's no way, this can't really be true. And every single time it's just trust the process. Wow. There's times where, it can get scary for you, but trust the process. It's not like we're just winging this. We've done this multiple times over. We know what works. And that's really it. It's not too good to be true. You just got to trust the process.
Which, we can talk about that too, right? Trusting the process is something that takes some, I don't know if you would call it skill, or, especially we were talking about in the beginning, when you have a mindset that was given to you by your family or by the culture where there's scarcity and all of that, I know my dad and I have very different business ideas. I'm into, finding someone to help me market and someone to do the bookkeeping, right? And my dad is more like, you should do it all on your own, and otherwise you're wasting money. And so, right, it takes something to be able to trust the process, to let go of those thoughts of, how could this work?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I think the big thing of it is when looking at hiring a coach or consultant or something, the problem with a lot of coaches, in my opinion, is it's kind of even teachers. It seems like those who can't always want to teach, right? It's like your brokest friend that's trying to give you financial advice. Dude, shut up. You know what I mean?
From that person.
My philosophy has always been, I'm only taking financial advice from somebody that's got more money than me, including my financial advisor. If he hasn't proven that he can make more money than me, I don't take
then
it.
He's not the advisor.
I'll listen to him. Doesn't mean I have to apply it. Yeah. Right. And same thing from a marketing standpoint. I want to know, have you done this before?
Have
or are
you
you
done
just
this?
Telling me this is a good idea?
Yes.
Right. So look at the fruit in their life and the relationship. If you're looking for relationship advice and it's from somebody who is currently going through a divorce, like probably not the greatest dude to talk about, right? Maybe somebody like for me,
somebody who's been like, I've been through divorce, right? You've been through divorce. So right, we can walk people through it after, the 7 or 8 years of processing it. Yes. Exactly.
So trust the process if you know that process has proven out. If it's not a process. It's a test. Like it's a test.
Awesome.
Right? Don't be the test dummy because so many people have already done it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just look for that fruit. Is it truth? Is it there? Yeah. And then trust that process.
Beautiful. Thank you. What's the last thing you want to leave men with, even though, they can come find you? So yeah, help us know where to find you. And then what do you want to leave us with?
So I've talked about brotherhood and, really the importance of dudes, just being able to find dudes that can be real with each other. The most important thing is just being real and just the peace, the weight that you have lifted off of you.
Oh my God.
And that was a big thing for me, is aligning myself with people that I know could not just support me, but could slap me upside the head when I was being an idiot, right? Like that's a version of support, I guess.
It is.
But in your alignment, you can find your assignment. And if you're struggling with like, I don't even know what I'm doing, or I'm transitioning, maybe you're younger and you're like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life. Or you've had 3 midlife crises and you're like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life.
Yeah.
Like oftentimes find that alignment, find those bros. I've said that enough now, but find those guys that you can align yourself with. And through that, most times, every time in my life, through the alignment, birthed my assignment of like what I was gonna do in that season. Yes. And that was a crucial thing for me. And I believe it is crucial for any man, knowing that, we don't have to run this race alone. Just
no. And I'm really thinking about that alignment to assignment. It's powerful. Again, I'm just relating it back to when I work with men and they come to me and, there's something they want, but sometimes it's not even clear. So we've got to go back into those deeper places of who are you really and what matters to you and, what lights you up and what has you feel alive before we can actually figure out who you want to be with or how you want your relationship to go or even how you want your business to go, right? Because otherwise you can create for decades like that and then realize, oh, that wasn't my life that I created or that wasn't fulfilling for me.
Absolutely. So many people just struggle with that clarity of the vision. We talk a lot about what do you want to have, what do you want to do, but the most important thing is who do you want to be? Because you can have all the things, you can do all the things, you can do so many different things, but the most important thing, the only thing that is legacy is who you are becoming in the process.
Woo! Mic drop. Thank you. Absolutely. And where can men go to find more of you?
If you're on Instagram, it's at the Rylee Meek, RYLEEMEEK. Or if any of this hits home, you have any questions on it, just text me, 727-472-3860. Text Man Alive, and then I'll know where you came from, 727-472-3860.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rylee.
Absolutely. It's been fun.
I'm so glad you joined us for today's episode of Man Alive. I hope you enjoyed our conversation and it gave you something to consider and explore in your life. If you like what you heard, I'd be so grateful for you to subscribe and write a quick review that helps men like you find us. And again, head over to ShaynaJamesCoaching.com/quiz or text the word ALIVE, ALIVE, to 44144 to get a sense of how you can become a better lover and leader. You'll start to see how you can be both more respected and desired in your unique and genuine way. If you don't feel as confident or as excited about life or love as you'd like to be, this quiz is a really great starting point and will guide you toward a more passionate love life and a more inspiring and successful career. So again, text ALIVE, ALIVE, to 44144 or head over to ShaynaJamesCoaching.com/quiz. Join us each week for a new episode of Man Alive.